Since the reboots of Wolfenstein in 2014 and Doom in 2016, id Software has been back in the spotlight. But there's still one franchise that's been completely overlooked: Quake. This year is the 25th anniversary of Quake II, and since the series has barely seen any love, we decided what better time to jump in. This is Quake II. Alright, just so we're all aware, this is a game that Mason requested to do and has wanted to do for a while. So, with that being said, I guess the first thing I want to ask is, of all the games you could have wanted to do, why Quake II?
I love the classic id Software games. I always wanted to play Quake, but it was the only id series not available on console. However, last year, Zach built my first gaming PC, and I knew Quake would be the first game I'd play. Then Quake was remastered for next-gen consoles. Oh well. Quake II, baby!
Alright, so for those who are unaware, just give us a little, some background info on what Quake is.
Quake is id's third first-person franchise. It continued the evolution from Wolfenstein to Doom. Quake was fully polygonal. You could look up and down, jump around, crouch. I don't know if it was the very first game to do this, but I'll say it was one of the first. With Wolfenstein and Doom, you were limited to looking left or right. There wasn't really any aiming. You just shot whatever was in front of you. And your bullets, like if there was an enemy above you, it would just automatically shoot. Kind of stupid.
A limitation of its time.
Yes. And everything was sprite-based. It wasn't a true 3D, really.
Yeah, it was like a faux 3D.
Yes.
Trying to emulate it.
Yes, exactly. Now, the series as a whole, it has a bit of an identity crisis. The first Quake is about gothic, dark elder gods trying to go through portals. Quake II is about humanity invading an alien planet. Quake III, multiplayer only. Quake IV, we don't talk about Quake IV. When Quake II's opening cinematic played, it was obvious that there were little to no ties to the first Quake. Like I said before, gone are the gothic, Lovecraftian influences, and now it's an alien invasion. Here's the twist though, you're doing the invading. You play as a Marine who's knocked off his course from his squad invading the alien planet Stroggos. There's a handful of cutscenes to give some story, as well as radio communications that play throughout, but it was new for an id Software title at the time. Basically, you could still ignore the story if you really wanted to. There is actually a good reason that Quake II doesn't follow the original game plot. That's because it wasn't supposed to be part of the Quake series. Originally, it was going to be a whole new IP. It had titles like Strogg, Lock and Load, or just Load, but due to some rights issues and internal clashes over the game's direction, they simply gave the name Quake II, and now it's part of the series.
Having played both of the original two Quake games, I can see exactly what you're talking about. You can tell Quake II wasn't supposed to be a successor to Quake. Like, they're the same genre, but other than both of them being first-person shooters, that's really all that ties them together.
Yeah, exactly. So Zach, why don't you tell them about gameplay?
Oh, okay, yeah. I was actually hoping you wouldn't ask me to do the gameplay part because I'm afraid I'm about to upset a lot of Quake fans. Let's start with the positives, though, and to me, the first positive is the guns. They felt, and somehow more amazingly, they sounded amazing. Like, the sound of the actual guns and stuff, it felt like you were doing some destruction. It was awesome.
They do feel amazing. The only issue I have with it is the bullets go right of the crosshair, so it can kind of throw you off if you're not paying attention.
I actually didn't even notice that. I mean, it did feel a little awkward at first, especially with the first gun, because it wasn't hit scan, it was actual projectile weapon, and it felt like the projectile was moving really slowly. But once I got the hang of it, I actually really enjoyed the shooting aspect of the game, which, that's good because that's mostly what you're doing.
It's a shooter.
Yeah, it's a shooter.
Did you notice how enemies got blood spattered all over them? And after you killed them, they would get up like one last time just to shoot you back? Honestly, I can't name another game with those features. I thought they were cool and way ahead of the time, to be honest.
Yeah, and another thing that they did, which was ahead of its time, is they actually would try to dodge your bullets. But it's not like perfect AI, so they'll just randomly dodge. Like you'll just be in the middle of a firefight and they'll start crouching.
It's still fun.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty cool. But yeah, getting back on topic with the actual guns of the game, other than the feeling of them and the sound of them, the actual guns themselves were really cool. That was another good positive of it. There was some fun guns to use. Anyway, moving on, the other positive of this thing is probably the best part of the game, and also the worst part of the game. And that's the soundtrack. The soundtrack for Quake II is amazing. It's seriously one of the best FPS soundtracks that there is. But what's actually funny about that is I think Quake 1's soundtrack is even better.
It's 9 Inch Nails. You can't top that.
Honestly, id Software in general, the soundtracks are amazing, but Quake is top notch.
The downside to the soundtrack, though, is if you have a digital version of the game, there's no music. It's hard to imagine a game without a soundtrack. That's what I look forward to the most every time they announce a new game. Quake 2, without mods or the physical game CD, it's silent. Even if you select CD music in the settings, nothing.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It honestly kills almost the entire experience for me. But let's move on, because those were all the positives I had and the negatives, and I'll make this quick. First, the story isn't really any good, but that's not a deal breaker, because most FPS games from this generation are like that, and it's expected that you're really buying the game, honestly, just to blow shit up. What is sucky, though, is that visually, it looks awful. Polygons never really hold up to me, but it was like every color that they used in the design of this game is just another shade of brown.
I actually like the graphics, but I think it's because a lot of the indie games like Dusk or Ion Fury or Ultra Kill, they're using low polygons stylistically.
Yeah, I mean, I guess art style mainly. It can be a personal taste, but it was just the colors for me. They killed it.
I agree. I do agree about the colors, though. It's every shade of shit.
Yes, it really is. Finally, my last complaint, and it's a combination of the levels and the way the game plays because of it. Now, some people might disagree with me, but the level design was not that good. Most id shooters, especially in this era, are designed to be fast-paced and fun. The guns make you want to run through enemies and just blow the hell out of them. And if you do actually get a version of the game that has the soundtrack playing, then there's no way you are going to slowly go through any of the levels in this game. You're going to be pumped up. The problem with that is the levels aren't designed well for fast-paced action. They're more about exploration, and on a weird design choice, they made it to where backtracking to old areas is part of the game, which completely kills the pacing. Because most of the time, you're just walking back to an area where you've already killed everyone, and those dead enemies are still on the ground. It's like just walking sections. It's more of a chore than anything else.
I mostly agree. I believe it's because id couldn't decide what kind of game they wanted to make at the time. John Romero just left. Everyone was fighting. It was a weird time for id.
Honestly, I think that pretty much covers the entire game. So let's just do our final thoughts. And I want you to go first because, this was your idea. So what do you think now that you've played Quake 2?
What do I think? I think this game, it has potential, but it's dated. I think a remaster of the game would help, like how they did Quake 1 last year, would help some of the issues, like especially the soundtrack.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The soundtrack is the biggest complaint for me.
So do you think that you should play Quake in 2022? Quake 2?
Do I believe you should play Quake 2 in 2022?
Yes, that is the question that I asked.
If you're a diehard fan.
Okay.
I would personally just hope to God that they announce a remaster, but I would only recommend it if you're a hardcore fan of the series.
Okay. All right, this is going to sound weird because I actually agree with everything you said, but I don't agree with the outcome at all. This game had a lot of potential. There was a lot there. The music was amazing. The gunplay was fun. But that's it. Like, I don't think it'll benefit. Yeah, it would benefit from a remaster, but I don't think there's any point in it. I think it's just a waste of time. There's thousands of other games that would benefit from a remaster also, and honestly, at this point, a new IP, just in general, would be better than, or a new Quake game would be better than revisiting this one. I enjoyed Quake 1. I replayed it also while we were doing this. That game, if they want to do a full remake, I'm all on board, but I did not like Quake 2. Like, at all. Like,
well,
I don't think they should remake it. I don't think they should remaster it. Maybe they should just delete the Wikipedia page. Like,
well, you'll feel better in knowing that you're in the majority.
All right, well, that is our thoughts on Quake 2. Who do you agree with? Mason? Me? We both had kind of, opposite opinions for once. Usually we agree on things. But,
yeah, it's kind of weird.
Let us know what you thought of the video down below. If you get a chance, if you liked it, hit the like button. If you didn't like it, there's a dislike button for a reason. Also, comment down below. Let us know what we could do different to make videos better in the future, because we are trying to, we're always trying to improve. We want to make videos that you guys actually enjoy. So, that being said, subscribe to us so you can keep up with all that we do, and we will see you guys in the next video.
See ya.